Hey, today we are continuing my tutorials about the different chapters of bolt action, and today we're going to look at the turn of bolt action. I have made a PowerPoint, then the PowerPoint sort of collapsed, and I have what you have here. Okay, so this is it. So this is my tutorial about the turn of V3. A lot is as it was, I have to say. A lot is more or less as we know it. The agenda is going to be that we're going to talk about orders. We're going to talk about what being pinned means. We're going to talk about order tests, troop quality, and how you retain an order. All of that is well known to anyone who's played bolt action for any length of time. But, you know, there might be some beginners here who want to talk this through with us for bolt action version 3. So, an order. An order dice is the 6 different orders you can give your units. They are the fire order, where the units stand where it is and shoots as weapons. It's the rally order, where you try to remove pins. It's the advance order, where you move and then shoot. It's the run order, which is also used for assaults, where you double your movement, which this order cannot be moved in certain types of terrain. And you also use the run order when you assault other units, and in certain other cases, moving into and out of stuff. And then there's the down order. The down order confers you a better cover save. And there's the ambush order. Now, ambush can be flipped. Like an ambush means that you're sitting there waiting for something to happen. And if something happens in your field of vision, you can react to it. Okay? So you can react by shooting, or if something is shooting you, you can elect to go down instead. That's the ambush order. A down order is you can give it when the dice, your dice is pulled, but you can also give it to a unit that is being shot at. So you can simply elect to, they will throw themselves on the ground and try to take cover, right? Now, second aspect of the game is the pins. The pins, for that you need a small marker. A lot of people have the red explosion markers. I personally just have a box of small game counters that I use, like place them next to my units. So you take pins from being hit by shooting, which is now very, very easy since most shooting will be hitting you on a 4 or 5. And you take 1 pin from being shot by 1 enemy unit. Now you may take several pins depending on what you're being shot with, because some heavy weapons will confer extra pins if they hit you. There's also the case of friendly fire. You can take pins from friendly fire. That is, if you roll a foobar and you start shooting at your own units, the units that are being shot at will take pins. And there are other cases where you might take pins, like if you fire a certain unit and that unit gives you a pin when you shoot it. So, for instance, flamethrowers. If you fire a flamethrower in version 3, that will give you a pin as well. Now, one thing that does not matter, though, is the number of hits you get. So, 1 enemy unit shoots at your unit. That unit confers 1 pin. It does not matter if they hit you 10 times. It confers 1 pin. So, and that's the same for heavy weapons. If your tank fires an HE weapon that would normally confer like D6 pins, they're still only getting those D6 pins from that 1 shot. If you have a machine gun on the tank that's shooting at the same unit, you're not getting extra pins for that shot. 1 unit gives 1 set of pins, depending on what type of weapon it is. Now, the effects of pins, they affect your morale. So every time you take a test, an order test or a morale test to stay in the game, you subtract the number of pins that you have on that unit. Right, it makes sense. The unit is shaken and not doing well because enemies are shooting at it, it might break and run. Also, if you surpass the number of pins you have in morale, so for a regular unit, right, it has 9 morale. If it gets 9 pins, it is pinned out, the unit breaks and is removed from the game. Now that means it's actually a practical proposition to shoot a lot of units, small units, at an enemy unit and just pin it out. Have it run away from pins. That can be done, and I've seen it done. However, the final effect of pinning is a unit that's pinned will get -1 to hit, but it will only get -1. In version 2, this is a difference between version 3 and version 2. In version 2, you got -1 per pin. That no longer happens. Now it's -1 for being pinned. So it's not actually massively beneficial to pin a unit more than a couple of pins, because if you pin them more than a couple of pins, those extra pins won't have that much extra effect. The first pin is nice because that will be -1 to shooting, but after that, whatever. 2 pins might be good, because then even if they make an order test, they'll only remove 1 pin, and but beyond that, I don't see it. Now, order tests. What are order tests? Order tests are tests you make in order for your unit to do what you want it to do. But you only test units that are pinned, or unless they have a special rule that says you test every time. So unpinned units will automatically do whatever it is that you want them to do. You just put down the dice on the order that you're giving the unit, you declare where you want to go, who you want to shoot at, and then you move the unit and do the order. But pinned units, you have to take 2d6, and you roll versus morale, minus pins, but plus any officers that might be close by, and confer their morale bonus to that unit. If you succeed, which means you roll lower or equal to your morale, you remove 1 pin and you do the order. If you fail, that unit will go down, or if it's a vehicle, it will back up. However, you may volunteer to go down. So if what you want your unit to do is to go down, you don't have to roll the order test at all. You just let it go down. Now, if you roll an order test and roll double 6s, that means you've foobarred, something went horribly wrong, the unit mistakes friends for enemies or whatever, and you roll on the foobar table, which is basically 50% you're going to shoot one of your own units, 50% you're going to run away. If you roll a double 1, that is called insane courage. And it's just the same as a rally. It removes all your pins, which is what a rally test does. If you roll a morale test, you have a success, you remove all the pins. A double 1 does the same. A unit at full strength may elect to re-roll their test, but must abide by the second result. So those are the order tests. Now, what is it that you test against? Well, the quality of the troops and the morale is very recognizable if you played version 2. Inexperienced troops, they have a quality of 3+, which means that if someone shoots at them, they usually die on a 3+. And they have a morale of 8, which is the number that you're rolling against if you roll for an order test or a morale test. Regular troops have 4+ and 9 morale, and veteran troops have 5+ and 10 morale. All the same, we know this is straight out of version 2, no changes here. What about retaining orders? Well, at the end of a turn, you can leave 2 types of orders on the table. You can leave ambushes, or you can leave down orders. If you leave a down order on the table, you remove all the pins that unit has. It's the same as rallying, which is brilliant. There are a lot of units I predict that I would want there to just be down all the time, rally, remove all the pins, and just stay down. But if you have an ambush at the end, you may elect to keep it, just, because you're not sure that you'll get the first order dice next turn anyways, and you want to be able to shoot at those outflankers are coming, and you keep the ambush. Or you may elect to try and shoot it, and you do so, same as in version 2, on a 4+. On a 4+, you shoot, just flip it to a fire order, and do the shooting phase. Now, one of the things that I think is slightly mishandled, and which is going to need a FAQ at some point, is that there's no set order for how you do this. That was one of the problems, at least for tournament play, was that people would say, well, there's a huge benefit to me knowing whether or not you want to keep that ambush. So I am going to try and wait with my ambush to see if you keep your ambush. And I'll only remove my ambush if you're removing your ambush. And that is stupid. We need a clear order for that. So my suggestion is you roll off, and then the person who rolls the highest gets to choose who removes the first of their end of order order dice. End of turn order dice. Because otherwise, and you just take turns, right? Because otherwise this turns into some weird shenanigans where no one actually knows how to play that. So, and this is not in the rulebook. I think it's a little bit of a missed opportunity, Warlord Games. Sorry. That is one of the things I think should have been addressed, which order you do this in. But since everything else where there's something unclear, Warlord Game clearly right. If something is unclear, roll off for it. This is one of the places I think you should roll off. And then just take turns. Right. So, what is up next? Well, for me, next is going to be movement. Because I'm just going through all the chapters in the book and talking to you guys about what's in them, what am I seeing, what's new. And I want to thank here at the end, I want to thank Torben Davidson because he has been very active in getting me to play the first games of version 3. So I have a little bit more experience now than I had to start with, which is nice. So yeah, thank you, Torben, for being my training buddy during this. I will see you in the next video, and yeah, cheers.